Akash INTI, the real reflection of you. Doing some, what is this called? Running of errands. Errands running with my mom today. It's enjoyable, it's a beautiful day out today. I'm grateful to have my mom in my life. She's running some errands. I'm just waiting in the car because I don't want to do the whole mask thing right now, A few things are on my mind right now. One being just how amazing it is that I can do this, right? I was at a meeting last night, a spiritual gathering of some really, really powerful men from all across the lands of New Jersey. And one of the things that we had spoken about, or one of the things that was discussed at one moment in time, was this idea of how when the ancient Egyptians were around and they were doing their thing, like the pharaohs and such, the families of the pharaohs, through the study of certain arts and sciences, and implementing them more than anything, like applying these specific arts and sciences to their lands, ended up making the lands prosperous and wealthy to the point that the sons and daughters of the pharaohs and the royalty no longer had to work. In other words, there was so much abundance within the lands as a result of the application of these specific arts and sciences that there was no need for those individuals to work. And so what I took away from that story was how there comes a time when there is so much abundance that there is no need to work. And what does one do in that scenario? And what did the family of the pharaohs and the Egyptian royal family, what did they do? How did they spend their time? Now, what we had talked about was how this royal family, they spent their time studying even more. And though they didn't have any work to do that would provide them sustenance, if you will, the work that they were doing was building even greater abundance. It was for almost the dedication to the art, if you will, to the expansion of the knowledge that had come before them, and to build upon that. And that's what they did. They spent all of their time doing that. Now, obviously, it took some management across the lands to make sure that things got done, but things got done. And it was largely as a result of these arts and sciences and the application of them. Now, why do I say this, right? Well, why is this on my mind? Well, it's like these people were so wealthy that they didn't have to do anything. If I look at my own life, how can I relate that to myself? I'm grateful that I'm in a position as such. I'm grateful that I don't have to do these things, that I am provided for. And so what am I to do from here? What do I do now? How do I build on that? That's one big concept that struck me. The other, and again, this is from the spiritual meeting itself, was this idea of the importance of storytelling and lore. I'm sure you've heard of the terms of folklore, and there's all types of lore. Really stories, right? Stories that convey, especially for folklore, often a moral lesson or learning. Now, there's other types of lore. There's lore of the masters. There's lore of the craftsmen. right? In other words, oftentimes the way craftsmen were identified, specifically the masters, were of their understanding and the knowledge of the stories that came before them, because the lessons that they had to apply were captured in the stories themselves. Now, you can look across civilizations untold, everywhere from Africa to Asia to South America to Europe to North America to Australia, all across the world. Stories have captured and held within them sacred knowledge. Now, this sacred knowledge could be everything from knowledge of how to build a dwelling, or how the world was created, or anything really. But these stories had to be told in a specific way and memorized and remembered perfectly. For forgetting one detail, we'd completely alter the meaning of the story. And so how did these ancient civilizations do this? Well, it's interesting. They had their techniques, each civilization having their own. Secret codes, secret passwords, ways of conveying this information. Now, I say all of this because lore is really important, even in our day-to-day life. The stories that we tell ourselves are the most important. More often than not, we're not very conscious of them. Or we may get a momentary consciousness of them, only to forget them once again. These two things are on my minds today because they're more important today than they are ever. And so, I leave you on these words. Keep up, thrive, and stay sexy.